So these two girls from Shreveport, they was working with Teleperformance, and they just got charged with $1 million worth of identity theft fraud. So what they were doing was, with them working with Teleperformance, they were, I guess, assigned to USAA to answer their calls or whatever. With them having the leeway to call these people or to answer phones and to be able to be assigned to different people's accounts and have their first and last names and getting all the stuff that they need, and then turning around and selling the information to other scammers and probably the dark web as well, and using it for their benefit too. That's how a lot of Americans are sounding right now. The majority of Americans are sounding like that right now, because we didn't got a taste of luxury, or like a newborn puppy. We didn't got a taste of that titty milk, and it's become a necessity that we just have to have, or we chase and want all the time. So it started to become evident in America, and people are starting to wake up and realize that all the get rich quick schemes and scams and quick come ups and stuff like that, the windows for them are already closed, or they closing drastically. And if you don't really know what I'm referring to when I talk about the scams and the schemes and get rich quick type stuff, I'm talking about the PPP loan scams, the EDD loan scams, or the unemployment scams, the food stamp scams that they're doing right now, all the Cash App flips and Venmo scams and stuff like that. All that is over with, y'all. It's capped. When all of that was going on and it was at its highest and it was really going for people, that was when we was under Republican power. We're under Democratic power now, where our dollar stays in and is not going out. When we're under Republican power, like I told y'all in the video back, that our dollar is going out and our asset classes go up, and there's be a lot of money floating around then. Now it's not a lot of money going around, and those times and that time that we was living in at that time was just a good time, and the window for it is just now gone. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people want Trump back in office, is because all of the money that was being printed at the time and all the opportunities and the money that was floating around. But people also got to understand that we was in a pandemic when he was in office, and a lot of money needed to be printed to keep the economy afloat and try to, you know, keep things going. But that also created us a state of, or set us up for inflation. It set us up for a recession, depression type state as far as an economy, because all the money that was being printed. And you fast forward up until now, where we got Biden as a president and we're on a Democratic party and we're in a recession, depression type state as an economy. The Fed had to stop printing money. The Fed just made it, basically canceled Black Friday and Christmas, because they want to convince people to stop spending money, because the more money we spend, the more depression state that we're gonna fall into. You feel what I'm saying? So the Fed want us to stop spending money right now. That's why all that opportunity and scams and schemes and stuff like that I was telling y'all about, that window is closing, because the money that's out here now, you have to really go and get it. You're gonna have to have a skill, a product, or service to provide to people to go and get that money. So now you're gonna see who the real hustlers are. So I'm gonna give y'all a prime example of a get rich quick scheme gone wrong that's actually recent. So these two girls from Shreveport, they was working with Teleperformance, and they just got charged with $1 million worth of identity theft fraud. So what they were doing was, with them working with Teleperformance, they were, I guess, assigned to USAA to answer their calls or whatever. So they were using USAA customers, and you know, USAA, they got all kind of different fund accounts and their insurers, and they got all kind of different stuff for veterans and stuff like that. Most of your veterans, they go through them for banking and all types of different stuff. So with them having the leeway to call these people or to answer phones and to be able to be assigned to different people's accounts and have their first and last names and social security numbers, bank account info, all this different type stuff, right? So I'm guessing that, well, I'm sure that they probably was asking these people, hey, what's this, what's that, and getting all the stuff that they need, and then turning around and selling the information to other scammers and probably the dark web as well, and using it for their benefit too. So I'm gonna tell y'all how they got caught up, where they really bumped their head at. And I kind of tip my hat at them for them being able to hold this type of bread down for as long as they did, with them being as young as they was. So one of the girls had previously caught a case back in March that she ended up getting probation time, and it was a theft case as well, similar to this one, but it just wasn't this much amount of money. So what they would end up doing, they was taking this information, and I'm assuming that they used these people's first and last names and some information to go and buy some of this stuff that they bought. But they bought lavish cars, they bought this lavish home, which I really think that really got them caught up, because the house was worth $639,000 and they paid for it cash. So let me tell y'all one thing, not even millionaires go and pay for houses that are worth that much, because they look at it in the future, they may want to move, they want to sell the house, finance the house, get some equity out of it later on in time when the prices of the value of the property may go up, you know, and due to the economy and so many other things. But the main thing people don't do is pay for houses cash, especially that cost that much. You feel what I'm saying? So that's one red flag, because if I'm selling a house to a person and you bringing me over $500,000 in cash, I'm gonna be skeptical about taking it all in cash, because people don't make big transactions like that with cash anymore. You know, it's wired some kind of way electronically, especially that much amount of money. And if I'm on the receiving end, I'm gonna be asking you, you know, or really be skeptical about who you work with, where could you get this amount of cash from. You know, it's just so many questions, you know, because that's like almost like a drug deal, damn near. You know, you bringing this person all this cash, you know what I'm saying, in exchange for whatever, you know. So that's one red flag that's gonna tip a person off. So they were saying that the people or the agency that was selling the home, that they basically took their money, and I'm guessing that they tipped off local I guess law enforcement or whatever to investigate. I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it probably had to be some type of process like that. Let me know what y'all think. But I'm guessing that they went and purchased that home, and that person took that bread and probably got scared with the money and was like, man, I don't know if this drug money, I don't know where it's coming from. And then they looking into them like, y'all only work for Teleperformance, and y'all just purchased over $500,000 home, and y'all working for Teleperformance. It don't add up. And on top of this, when you move in the Haven in Shreveport, it's a very highly reputable area where, you know, people that's judges, lawyers, doctors, physicians, people of that caliber, or people that's making that type of bread is gonna stay over there. So in a place like Shreveport, it's a small city. So it's either you got a business that's bringing in some bread like that, or you're somebody of that type of caliber I'm talking about. And they are neither. And I'm pretty sure the people that stayed around them was looking into them like, who is these folks? Because, you know, white people, they get very skeptical about who's coming into their neighborhood and who's living beside them, which I think everybody should be. I don't think ain't nothing wrong with that. But they gonna be digging into you. And I'm pretty sure when they start digging into these people, they like, nah, something ain't right. So, man, let me know what y'all think of what y'all would have did if y'all was this young and having that much amount of money, and what y'all would have possibly did to make it clean or to make yourself look more legit. You know, so yeah, let me know y'all thoughts on that, man. But the moral of the story is, man, the get rich quick schemes, they over with during this pandemic slash recession slash depression that we finna head into. Well, we're pretty much out of the pandemic, but you're gonna need a service, product, or some type of skill to catapult you above the average as far as making substantial amount of funds into this these next 2-3 years that we're going into. You're gonna need something like that, man. That's why I'm still offering my vendor service, my vendor packs. They all half off right now. I got them going for $250 and $180, man. You can get you 5 wholesale vendors, or you can get you 11 of them. So y'all can do your due diligence with that. And y'all can hit me up too, 318-217-4800 for the details on the vendors, so you can know what you're getting into, man. I ain't got no problem with running the game down to y'all, man. So y'all can hit me up on that. So let me know y'all thoughts, bro. What y'all would have did in a situation like this.